Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Python Programming for Beginners course. First of all, I would like to thank you for joining me. Whether you're a school student or someone simply trying to get into programming, simply curious about coding, you made a great choice by beginning to learn Python. Before we write a single line of code, I would like to tell you something important. Many people believe that programming involves all this complex math. Well, at least I I believe that. So I was scared shitless and whatever. Sorry, we close on this channel. And that simply isn't true. Once you get in, you'll know it's mostly just about logical thinking. Think of it like a language, syntax and all is the vocabulary, different words, and how you string together different sentences by using, tenses and all. And the actual logic is the message you want to convey. So it is all about just learning the words, learning how the grammar works, that is, learning the syntax, and just developing a coding mindset that how to think logically, and you will be able to build many programs through that. So if you follow along, complete the exercises, you will gradually start to build some confidence. And you shouldn't just stop there, as curiosity is what will drive you to become even better. It is the curiosity which will make you learn even more things and make many complex programs, as just here I can just provide you with the bare basics or just to get you to know the set concepts, but it's just up to you to actually apply and learn through your own experiments. So let's get started. So in today's lesson, we'll cover the following topics: that what programming is, what Python is, and how and where it is used. Also, I'll guide you to install Python and VS Code. VS Code is what I prefer, as it is beginner friendly and has a lot of extensions as well, so it will be easy on you. Also, you will write your first Python program. Will begin from the very basics, that is, from the print function, writing comments, and learning about syntax. By the end of this lesson, you'll have written your first Python program and have understood the basic workflow of how you have to go about writing your code. So just a quick go through. Before we talk about Python, let's first answer a more fundamental question: that what is programming? So programming is the process of giving just instructions to a computer so that it knows what to do. Now computers are incredibly fast, but they aren't intelligent. So we have to instruct them by writing code. So imagine that you are someone that is teaching someone to make, let's say, a cup of tea. Now, they've never seen tea before, so you just can't explain make some tea. So, in the context of programming, you will write instructions. That is, first, perhaps boil the water, pour the water, and then put in the tea if you drink milk as well. So, make some milk tea, add some milk, add some sugar, and those steps we have to convert them into code and instruct the computer so it may understand and perform them. So just to simply put it, a program is simply a list of those instructions. Now that we know what programming is, let's talk about Python. So Python is a very versatile language. It has many applications. You can do a lot of things with it. One of the biggest reasons is that it is easy to read and easy to learn. So there is this concept of that high level and low level languages. High level does not mean that it is tough. High level means it's closer to human language, and low level means a bit further. That means, to simply put it, that you see, for example, at the code of C, it has many symbols. It is harder to read, which makes it a low level language. It is closer to machine language. So Whereas Python is a high level language, it is closer to the human language. If you want to simply print something for say, you have to simply write like print and then quotation marks, and in that you write your message. And that's it. No more colon, no more other things. You have to use braces, but that's the minimum. That's the minimum. So in short, it's readable. It almost looks like simple plain English. You can just read the code and understand what it does. You can build websites. Well, it ain't that popular to build websites, but you can create AI systems, automate tasks. You can also put it to use to analyze data, statistics. It is used in data science as well. And third being that Python has a massive community. So whenever you do get stuck, there are chances that thousands of other people have also faced the same issues as you. So there are tons of tutorials and resources, documentations and forums available online to help you. So before we continue, I'd like you to think about the question that why are you learning Python? Maybe you want to become a software developer. Maybe you're interested in AI. Maybe you want to automate some repetitive tasks. Or you're simply curious about programming. Whatever your reason is, you have to keep that goal in mind, as having a clear motivation will help you stay consistent. Now that we understand what programming is, what Python is, and why is it such a valuable language, it's time to prepare our computer for coding. So in the next section, we'll install Python and VS Code and get everything ready for you to start coding. So to start programming in Python, we need two things: the programming language itself and the application where we'll be writing our code. So you might be wondering that why just VS Code? Because it offers many helpful features such as syntax highlighting, which colors the different parts of your code, automatic indentation, suggestions while you write, and also an inbuilt AI assistant. So first, let's begin by installing VS Code. So I have this link in the description, that is code.visualstudio.com/docs/setup/Windows. If you're not on Windows, then just follow through it going into the setup and choose for the Mac. But if you're on Windows, follow these steps. So once you're on this page, just scroll down until you find this. Now here, just click this download button right here. It is being highlighted, download the Visual Studio Code setup. So just click that and it should start downloading. So I'm going to skip ahead once it gets downloaded. So once it has been downloaded, simply open the file up and accept the agreement. If you want to read it, go ahead and read it. Just click next. If you want a desktop icon, create a desktop icon. And all this, I just let it stay at default, and I suggest you to do the same, but ensure that the last one is ticked. You want this last option. So go ahead and click next and install. Now, after clicking install, it will install the VS Code for you, but I will click cancel because I already have it installed. So after installing, simply go ahead and open up your Visual Studio Code. So now, once you're here, your screen might be a bit different. You may have different sections. Your screen might be partitioned by different sections. Don't worry. So once you're on this screen, what we need to do is assign a folder. Now that folder will be where all your code will be saved. So I want you to first click on this. This opens up the Explorer. From here, I want you to open a folder. So after you've opened up and selected a folder, it will appear right there. This is where all your code will get saved. So just quickly go ahead and close this. Now, if you get a prompt, or if you haven't, just ignore this. But if you have gotten a prompt that do you trust this file's author, just simply go ahead and click yes. To install Python, I have also provided another link in the description. Go ahead and open up that link. It'll lead you to www.python.org/downloads. Hit download and it'll start downloading. Now I'll skip ahead once it has been downloaded. So simply go ahead and open up the file, but as you can see, I have already installed it, so it is not letting me show you on how to install, but you have to follow the same steps you took with installing Visual Code, but you have to just keep one thing in mind, that is, in the installing process, there will be a checkbox which will have written add Python to path, and the PATH will be capitalized. You want to tick it. You want it to be enabled. So once that is done, simply click install and your Python will be installed. So once your Python has been installed, there is just one more thing we need to do. Although the Python has been installed, Visual Studio Code does not automatically know how to work with the Python files. So we need the Python extension. So to get an extension, simply go ahead and click this button, this extensions button, if you hover over it, and simply search up Python. So you have to click this one, Python by Microsoft, not Python Debugger, not Pylance, but Python by Microsoft. There will be an option right here to install it. Simply click install. I have already installed Python, so I don't got that option, but simply click install and it will be installed. So now that we're finally ready to create our first Python file. So there are two methods you can create a new file. So the first method, which is simpler, is to just go ahead and hit the file button right there, and just simply click new file, and I want you to type in hello.py and simply save it to create the file, and you have to make sure that it ends with py. Py means Python, that it is a Python file, so just name it anything and hello.py. The other second step is what I prefer, is to not to utilize the GUI, but to use the terminal. Get used to using the terminal. So simply hover over the terminal option that is right there and click on it, and then click new terminal. This will open up a terminal at the bottom where you can write commands. To create a file, it is rather simple. You just have to first write code, as in code a file. This will create a file, and after code, simply give a space and write the name of your file. So in my case, it will be code space hello.py, but hello already exists, so I'll change the name to hello.py, hit enter, and there you go. Hello has been created. So now that we've successfully installed Python, VS Code, and learned how to create a new file, now we'll go ahead and start writing our very first program. So it may seem like a very small step, like print this and that, but it is important for you to learn how the very basics of this programming language works. So this space right here is the editor. This is the blank. It is blank right now. This is where you'll be writing your code. Now type the following exactly as I do. It is very important, as Python is a case-sensitive language. That is, even if you misspell by just a singular alphabet or a character, the code simply won't work. So the very first keywords are like reserved words in the program. So I won't go into much depth right now, but simply know that print is a function that exists that takes a message, a string, a number, and it just prints it out. So the function is print. So simply write print and hello. So make sure that it is print and P is not capital, and whatever you put in the quotation marks can be capital. So also remember to use these braces. So after this, to run the code, simply you can see this play button, or well, run code button. Simply hit that, and as you can see right down here, we got our message displayed, hello. So let's understand what we've just written. So programming isn't about memorizing the code, although you have to eventually learn and memorize what these functions syntaxes is. So it is all about the more you practice, the more you can retain. First of all, to explain what this print is, that the print is called a function. So what is a function is, imagine like you've got a toolbox. Okay, so inside that toolbox there is a hammer, there's another one, there's a screwdriver. So each tool has a different purpose. Like, right, you can't use a screwdriver to drive in a nail in a plank. You need to have a hammer. So similarly in Python, we got functions. Each function has a different task, or well, just to say literally, the function has a function. So whereas print, its job is really simple. That is, it will just print out whatever message you write inside of it. So what you see here are the parentheses. So the parentheses is like a container. So whatever you write inside of the parentheses along with the quotations if you're using a string. So about these quotation marks, notice the quotation marks are very important, as whenever in Python we want to treat something as a text, we surround it with quotation marks. So for example, if I just remove that and I write hello world. So hello world will be treated as a text. So if I just simply go ahead and run this file, there you go, hello world. So even if I write a number inside of these quotation marks, like 25 or like 1000, this will still be treated as a text and not a number, as it is inside of those quotation marks. And as you can see, if I run this, it will still print out 100. That is, there is no error, that when once inside these quotation marks, everything will be treated as a string, as a text. Now go ahead and write some few statements of your own. Write that what your name is, what do you like, and you can also consecutively write many print statements. For example, first Python program. Program, I think, whatever it is, I don't care. So there you go. This is my first Python program, and as you can see inside, this is the output window. So this is, you can see first the 100 will be printed, and then this is my first Python program will be printed. It might not seem like much, but it is a huge milestone. You just wrote instructions and the computer just executed them, and you saw some results in the output window. So let's pause for a moment and let's think that what happens when we click run. So there is a process happening behind the scenes. That is, first you save your Python file, and once you click run, the Python reads your code from top to bottom. There are many different types of interpreters, that is how they interpret code. Python interprets code from top to the bottom. That is from the topmost line, then it will go ahead into the secondmost line, which you just saw with our two print statements, that it first executed the first line of code and then it went on and executed the second line of code. So first, to understand what each instruction does is, first the interpreter will come in the first line and look right there in the print statement and go inside of it and display the text. After which it exits and goes in the second print statement, and then it goes inside of those quotation marks and displays that text. Now, one important thing to remember is that the Python will execute your code line by line. Now, this idea will become very important as a program continues to grow. Also, you just don't have to always use quotation marks, which I just mentioned previously, is that whatever you put in the quotation marks will be converted into text. Sometimes you don't want that to happen. For example, there are two ways you can print out a number. So I can just go ahead and, just as the first method we used is we put 100 inside of the quotation marks. So now that 100 isn't actually a number per se, it has become a text. So I can also print 100 again, but without using quotation marks. That is, removing the quotation marks and simply writing 100. So if I go ahead and print this out, you can see right at the bottom now, 100, and it has been printed. Now this 100 is a number because we didn't use any quotation marks. It is not a text anymore. It is a number. Also, this is where things will get exciting. Now, Python doesn't just displays the information, it can also calculate. So instead of just printing 10, we can print out 5 plus 5. That is, it will actually calculate and give us the result as 10. So let's do that right now. So I will just remove 100 and put 50 plus 50. If you haven't guessed, it will print out 100. It will not print out 50 plus 50, but it will actually calculate and print out 100. So if I just hit, and there you go. It is printed out 100. So to think for it a bit, what just happened is that as you click run and the interpreter goes into the first print statement and it sees the 50 plus 50, it performs the calculation and the result, that is 100, is passed into the print statement, which is then displayed out. Now write a program which prints your name, your age. Now in this, you can also do, instead of just simply using quotation marks and printing out your age, you can do is not use quotation marks and actually just do what we did. That is, instead of using your age, just simply write a simple calculation which adds up or subtracts to give out your age. And third, that is, print out your favorite hobby. Pause the video and try it for yourself right now. So before we finish this section, I would like to go over some common errors that many would be facing, or some common errors you need to keep in mind not to do. So the first and foremost is the most obvious, that is, you're not using quotation marks. So if you go ahead and I just show you right now is, instead of just 50, I simply write hello. And I try to run this, it will give me an error. Why is that? Because hello is a text. And for me to be able to print out a text, I need to use quotation marks. So if I now go ahead and instead of just hello, I write in quotation, hello, and run this. Now it won't give me any error and it will actually go ahead and print out hello. The second thing you need to look out for is that you actually have both of the parentheses here. and that the print is correct, that there is no spelling errors or the P hasn't been capitalized, as Python is a case sensitive language. So if you capitalize any letter and even P, it will not run. So now let's quickly review what we've just learned. So today you discovered how to create a Python file, how to write your first program, how print works, and how Python interprets code from top to bottom. What is the purpose of quotation marks inside the print statement? What is the purpose of parentheses? How Python can both display texts and numbers, and also perform simple calculations inside of the said print statements. So in the next part, we're going to make our code easier to understand by learning about something called comments. We'll also discuss Python syntax and what that term actually means and why following syntax is essential if you want to have your programs run correctly. We'll also make some deliberate mistakes so that I can show you how to fix them and how to utilize the debugger inside of Visual Studio Code. So now more on the comments is that you may be thinking, hey, this seems pretty easy enough. And you're right, it is. But once your program grows and grows and you're working in a team or you're working with a friend, you can understand the program you've written. But if you give it to your friend to work on it and add something on it, your friend won't be able to understand what you've written. This is where the concept of comments comes in. Comments are something that is more like a text, which makes it easy to read and write. So now also imagine, now what if you don't open a program that you've written like 6 months ago and you finally come back? Do you think you'll remember everything that you've written? Probably not. So every experienced programmer forgets how the code works every time. So now imagine someone else joins your team at work. They open your program for the first time. Would they immediately understand what each line means? Maybe, maybe not. So they also document their code. And one of the simplest ways to document your code is to write comments. So what are comments? A comment is simply a note that you write for humans. It is not meant for the computer. Python will completely ignore the comment when you run your program. Think of comments like a sticky note in a textbook. So imagine you're studying for an exam. You might highlight some important information in a book or two to just to remind you for the important bits or what that means. Comments serve exactly the same purpose in programming. They help explaining your code. So let's see how comments work. So type the following with me. So to utilize comments, what we have to use is, first I will make a little space here and I will use a hash symbol. So whatever you type after the hash will be ignored by the computer. The Python interpreter will not execute that. It is simply like a note. So whatever I write after this hash symbol will be ignored. So I will simply write that this is my first, my first program. This was my first comment. So as you can see, this has been grayed out because Python will not execute this. It is simply a comment. So this is like some notes for you if you come back to this program for like 5 years later, 6 months later, and you won't just understand what it means. So you put in some notes, some comments, so that you finally it becomes a bit easier for you to understand what each function does. So if I was to execute this program once again, it will not give me an error because the hash symbol will allow Python to see and tell that, hey, this is just a comment. So Python will simply ignore it and move on. So for example, if you were building a code with your friend that both of you are doing half the tasks, so once you're done with your half of the task, your friend might not understand what you've written. So you might want to leave him some notes that, hey, this thing does this function is meant to be used for this, and simply tell him that do not change anything, or it's just like sticky notes just to, warn your friend or convey a message to your friend and teach him that this is what the code you've written and how it works. Let's pause the video. And now, with the example on my screen, create a similar program for yourself. Make two print statements, and inside of that, write some calculations and two comments as well that explains the said calculation that you are performing. So congratulations on completing your fourth Python lesson. I encourage you to spend a little more time practicing before you move on. Try changing the messages in your programs, experiment with different numbers, and don't be afraid to make mistakes. Right now, every program we've written displays the same output every time it runs. But what if we wanted our program to remember some information? What if we wanted to store someone's name, age, or favorite color? That's where variables comes in. We'll also explore data types, which helps Python understand whether something is text, whether something is a whole number, a decimal number, or even true or a false value. After that, we'll learn how to take some user input, allowing our program to interact with the user instead of just displaying some fixed messages. And finally, we'll combine everything in our next lesson and build our first interactive calculator where the user can enter their own numbers and perform simple calculations. I'm excited to continue with you on this journey, and I hope I see you again in the next lesson.